What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stat Sheet Sports. We are live here with our Houston Texans mock draft. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you check out our other mock drafts. I'll put the playlist up here in the corner as a card for this video right here. For all of our mock drafts that we've already done, we've done the Lions, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Packers, the Jaguars, the Bears, the Cowboys, and we also did a 7-round mock draft with Chicago Sports Network. Me and him are also going to be putting out sometime next weekend our top 10s at each position and some of those things, some more content together. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Help me reach my goal of 600 subscribers by the end of January. We are currently, as I'm recording this video, at 576, so we're 24 away. We still have 8 days left in January, so by my math, that would mean 3 a day. So I think that's something that we can definitely do. So let's try and do that and get to 800. Not 800, excuse me, 600 by the end of January. But let's go ahead and get started with today's video. So the Texans have the second pick of the draft. I'm not doing any trades in this draft. And with this pick, I'm going with the quarterback, Bryce Young from Alabama. This is a guy that's going to come in, I think, be able to play immediately. They have guys like Davis Mills as their quarterback. They have like Kyle Allen behind them. So this is a team that needs a quarterback and needs one bad. And I think Bryce Young is a very talented quarterback. I think he's a guy with a big arm. He's tough, as we saw this year. Got knocked down a ton in the Tennessee game and a bunch of other games, and was still able to get up and fire the ball. So I think this is a guy that is a very tough guy, which is something you need at quarterback. He's not going to be injured a lot for you. He is a little smaller, which is some concern for people, but I'm not really concerned about it. I think that Bryce Young's gonna be a very good quarterback, and I think the Texans take him at 2. The only other way I see them going is they maybe take Will Anderson, or maybe if they want C.J. Stroud. But I'm not sure there who they would go with. Personally, I would go with Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud. I think Bryce Young's the number 1 quarterback in the draft, so that's why I took him. And with the 12th pick, I'm going with Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver from TCU. This gives Bryce Young a playmaker. Look at some of the receivers. They have Brandon Cooks, Chris Moore, Phillip Dorsett, Amari Rogers, John Mechie, Nico Collins. But Mechie and Collins both been injured all year. So also at tight end, they have Brevin Jordan. So maybe, they have some young, talented guys. We'll see what they can do with those guys and developing them and using them. But for now, I think Quentin Johnson is the pick there. He gives Bryce Young a potential number 1 receiver, a guy who's, he's going to play like a rookie through some parts of the season, but he's a guy in the long term that is going to be a number 1 receiver for you. He's very talented, very good route runner, very good hands, a deep threat, big body, fast. He's everything you want in a number 1 receiver. So now at 33, we can go offensive tackle. Guard, look at the edge, D-line. I see edge right here, and I know I'm going with Andre Carter out of Army. Still uncertain if he's even going to be eligible for the draft, but I like him. Andre Carter. I think he's a very talented edge rusher. I think he's a guy that could potentially sneak into the first round of the draft, and so I like him going at 33 there to the Texans. I think that gives them a good dominant pass rusher. He's very versatile too. He can line up as with like the NFL does it. Edge rusher doesn't necessarily mean defensive end, depending on the scheme. So I think he's a guy that could even drop back into coverage every now and then. Not a guy that you want to consistently drop back, but he is somebody that you can drop back into coverage. So I think with this next pick at 65, I'm going to go with Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. This is a guy I think that is a pretty talented offensive tackle. Got some pretty good experience when he was at Syracuse. Played very good this year, and he's very good in the pass block game, but also in the run game. As we saw, Syracuse had a very good run game these past couple of years. I think he's a guy that's versatile, can line up at left tackle, right tackle, wherever you need him to go. I think he's a guy that that they can really use and help them out to go across from Laramie Tunsil, who is their left tackle. So looking, I'm not in love with really any of these D linemen. I'm not in love with any of these players really that they have available right now. I guess I'll go with Kalijah Cansey, the D line from Pitt. This is a guy that at D line lines up, can not only stop the run, but he can also get after the quarterback. Gets a lot of push, can eat up double teams. I think he is going to need some development, but I think he is a guy that in the long run can end up being a very good pick for the Texans, and be a guy that really works out for them and makes a big impact. All right, now who do we go with? I'm going to go with Travius Hodges Tomlinson. I think, yes, he is smaller, and that is a bit of a concern, but he proved that in college that size didn't matter. He's a guy you can throw out on an island, a guy that, like I said, you can put out on an island that can shut guys down, can also play zone, can also move back and play a little safety and be a ball hawk. So I like him there. I like him a lot right there. And so with the next pick, I'm going to go with Chase Brown, the running back out of Illinois. I think Chase Brown is a very good running back. I think he's going to do very well in the NFL. And I think he's a guy that the Texans could really use, and I think he fits the Texans' kind of needs. And I think he's a guy that can really excel in Houston. He's a power back, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And he can make guys miss in the open field. He's very elusive, so I like Chase Brown. He's also very experienced as well. Looking now, yeah, I'm not going with him quite yet. Guy that I could potentially go with. I like Davis Allen as a Clemson fan. I think he's a very good run blocker, and that's who I'm going to go with. He's extra offensive lineman on run plays. He's a really good run blocker. Obviously, he's going to need a little bit of development, but he's also a very good pass catcher, very good route runner, going to be a good target in the red zone, and I think he would be a good fit with the Houston Texans. And now, yep, I know who I'm going with here. I'm going with Ronnie Bell, the wide receiver from Michigan. This is a guy who has great hands, great athleticism, made a lot of good plays during his time at Michigan. I like Ronnie Bell. I think he'd be a good pickup here, and a guy that you're going to need to develop, but could turn into a really good number 2 wide receiver for you. Let's see who we're going to go with here, see who all is available. Look at some safeties. Yep, Ronnie Hickman right there. I'm going to go with him. He's played a lot of football in his time with Ohio State. He's a very experienced guy, very mature player. Doesn't get beat over the top a lot. He's a guy that is a very good ball hawk, and he's got good speed, so he can make up for ground whenever he does let somebody behind him. And I'm looking here. I think I'm going to go with Trevor Reed, the tackle from Louisville. This is a guy that gives you some versatility at the tackle position. Not only can he play tackle, I think he could make the move to guard eventually. But he is a guy that's going to need some development. And when you get this late in the draft, you're just looking for guys that offer you, starting potential. And I think that he does give them good starting potential. Let's look at some linebackers, some guards. TJ Bass still there. I'm going with him. He's a good run blocker. He's also, I can't remember, did he play center or not at Oregon? Let me look that up. Nope, he was a guard. He was a guard. But I think he is a guy that can play center. A lot of draft experts also think that he could learn center, and I think so. That gives you a versatile piece there on the offensive line for the Texans. I think that this is a guy that you need to develop, obviously, but could turn into a solid offensive lineman for you. And once you get this late in the draft, once again, that's really what you're looking for. So to recap our draft, we took Bryce Young, Quentin Johnson, Andre Carter, Matthew Bergeron, Kalijah Cansey, Travius Hodgins Tomlinson, Chase Brown, Davis Allen, Ronnie Bell, Ronnie Hickman, Trevor Reed, and TJ Bass. And so that'll wrap up the mock draft. I appreciate all you guys watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Help us reach 600 subscribers by the end of January. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in today, and we will see you next time.